The most prevalent cause of the Civil War was the culture clash that occurred between the North and the South. The Southern economy pre-Civil War was the basis of how it's run today. With factories and businesses, shipments and industrial life was taking a ride upwards. Many immigrants were coming to the North because employment opportunities were plentiful and places to live were cheap. Big corporate CEOs and chief executives were making large amounts of money and becoming very wealthy, while poor factory workers were not. Northerners believed slavery was morally wrong, but the main reason they were against it was because there was no need for slaves in their economy, unlike the South.
The Southern economy was completely opposite of the one that was growing in the North. With a not as populated area, big plantations, and shipment crops as their main inventory, the Southern economy was successful but reliant on slavery. Without the help of slaves, farmers in the South would not be able to make a profit near what they make with them. Cotton was cheap to produce and sold for a lot, and it made up most of their exports. The slaves were hard workers and could deal with the southern heat during the main season when temperatures reached over 100 degrees. Without slavery, the South would go completely bankrupt because their economy lied in the hands of slaves.
The North and the South both wanted to go to war, but for very different reasons. While the North opposed slavery, the South favored it. The North felt like they were fighting a war to free the slaves, and the South was fighting the war to free themselves. The North wanted higher taxes on goods and to preserve the Union, while the South wanted taxes to be lowered, and they believed in states' rights over a strong central government.
During the Civil War, the Union wore dark blue coats. The Confederacy, on the other hand, wore gray color coats.
Abraham Lincoln was President of the United States during the Civil War. He was also Commander-in-Chief of the Union Army. Two of his most famous works are the Emancipation Proclamation, which granted all slaves their freedom, and the Gettysburg Address.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do
Lincoln's
this.
war general was Ulysses S. Grant. Grant's skilled military tactics led the Union to victory, and he later served 2 years in office.
Jefferson Davis was named President of the Confederate States of America when the South succeeded. Davis appointed Robert E. Lee as the Confederates' military general. He was from Virginia and decided to fight for the Confederates, even though Lincoln asked him to be commander of the Union Army.
The capital of the Confederacy was Montgomery, Alabama, but did not last long. Richmond, Virginia became the next capital and thrived for a long period of time. After Richmond, Danville, Virginia would be the next capital of the Confederacy. The capital of the Union was Washington, D.C. It was also the nation's capital. The Union flag was red, white, and blue. It had 35 stars that represented each of the 35 states included in the Union.
The Confederacy had many different flags, and their first was known as the Stars and Bars. It included 7 stars for the 7 states of the Confederacy. Next, they established the stainless banner, and the eventual flag of the Confederacy was known as the Southern Cross.